only get good driver rating from getting results. I don't care how fast your setup is, I don't care how good of a driver you are, or I don't care how much lap time you can get. If you don't finish, you don't get results. In this video, I will give you 25 tips that you can only figure out after 400 hours of driving. I've been sim racing for years, and though I am not one of the fastest drivers, I usually outcompete very fast drivers because of this strategy. So let's get into it. If you want to boost your rating in Le Mans Ultimate, I think you should stick with GD3s, and especially when you're starting out, do the fixed GD3 cars. The reason why I say this, if you add hypers to the mix, you get more chaos and you reduce the chances of you actually finishing your races and getting results. Look at this example, for instance. We got hypers in the mix, and this always happens in a hyper race, and then when the GD3 cars joining the field, you get more chaos. The chances of you having even more collisions at the race start drastically increase. There you go, like smoke, and like if you see smoke, you know there's gonna be issues. Point one in getting good results, you wanna have a decent track knowledge. That doesn't mean you need to be quick on those tracks, but you know what to expect. For instance, Monza Turn 1, 150 meter sign, it's kinda get ready to brake. Don't miss braking points, don't spin, then you're ready to get into races. And I highly recommend getting into them because it's a lot of fun, you know? So think about, you need to do 5 consecutive laps at least without going off or spinning. That's a good sign you can start doing races. Point number 2, plan ahead. Just have a look on the schedule on the website, or on my Discord, it's there as well, on which times these races are, and then you can get ahead of time thinking about, okay, I'm gonna practice this track and then I'm gonna do that race that time. Let's go to tip number 3. I think it's important to start your system before your races. So test your gear, test your headset, test your pedals and the sim in general. Sometimes Windows comes with updates and all that stuff. Don't get me started. Tip number 4, do a family check. I do love my wife and kids more than anything, but when I'm racing, they cannot be in the room. It's very distracting. Now, another mistake a lot of people make when you're in the practice, over here, normally you have like a couple of minutes before the quali starts. Here I am kinda like watching my phone, but you wanna get that out lap immediately and test the pit entry. And even if you don't have to do a pit stop, this is a great window to get familiar with the pit entry. If you do this every practice, after 20 races you've done 20 entry practices, which is important because if you speed in the pit limit you'll get penalties, and that hurts good results. Like for here, you got the 10-minute window, and if you immediately jump out of the pit, then you're gonna have like, it's easy to forget this one. So you need to wait, this timer starts to drop, and then you can exit the pit. Like over here, on top you have my Race Lab apps timer. Like now it's on 10. Now it's safe to go out. I see people going out too soon, I did this myself, and then you get a drive-through, which kinda destroys your quali. So, tip number 7, pick 30% of virtual energy for your qualifying. Just lock that value and remember it. Don't overthink it. A lot of people might think, hey, maybe I need to do like 12.2% on Imola, or I need like 11 point whatever on a different track. Just pick 30. If you are a rookie, you're not gonna have the luxury of having low fuel and being quickest. Just pick 30% so you don't run out of fuel in the end of the quali. Tip number 8, get into some rhythm in quali. So when you take that 30% of fuel, go out, build lap time. Don't try to push your first lap, because then you might spin and then it's gonna be hard to make a new lap. Just go out consistently, build up your laps, and then the last lap you can maybe push or find your limit, but then at least you have a decent lap, so you start from a decent position. And that's point number 9. Do your best in quali and pray that everyone does this, because then the field is more balanced. You got fastest people in front, and you got slowest people on the back. And if you have very fast people on the back, getting impatient, creating chaos, bruh. Little bit of a side note here, if you absolutely worried about safety rating and you absolutely don't want any collisions, then yes, you could start from the back or from the pit, but then don't overtake anyone or get impatient because, bruh. Tip number 10, if you took traction control settings, ABS settings, or an open series, you're on open setups, don't make the pivot from quali to race. Have the same setup. I've changed in the past. I did lots of races. Maybe a little bit less ABS, maybe different traction control, and then the car catches you out because you weren't expecting the car to act out differently. And trust me, pick the same settings, okay? Don't change it. We're not competing for esports silverware here. It's just to get good results and not spin and not die. And if you need consistent setups for open series, check out the links below for my skill level setups. Over 1,000 people already using these setups, and they help you to get these good results without spinning. Tip number 12, when the race starts, you need to pick fuel load. Now, if you are on a base setup, it is always 100%. With a 20 minutes race, that might be too much, but also, what you also really need to do when your race starts, click the new tires, because it will always be in the old. You need to do that yourself. If you're hesitant or you're not sure how much fuel load you need to pick, you can hit start driving and you'll see other cars having a certain percentage of the fuel load. But there's a catch here, especially when you go in advanced races. You can have 100% and you can have 16 liters of fuel carried. I keep these at default, but there are people doing a lot of strategy with this as well. So it's not always a guarantee that the percentage is gonna match how much you need to take if you're looking to other players. So figure out yourself, look a guide, see how much you need. So still on 13, when you fuel up the car and you're ready to do the race, you can see here we have all 100%, but look at what I'm doing here on this display. I know that I'm gonna have 27% virtual energy required at the pit stop strategy. So I'm in this procedure where everybody is waiting, I'm already dropping this percentage to somewhat 30%. So when I need to get into the pit stop, I don't have to do this anymore when I'm in the heat of the moment and racing. By the way, a little side note here, the amount of fuel you're gonna put over here is going to be the amount of fuel you're gonna leave the pit with. So if it says 30%, so let's say you set 30% over here, that means you're gonna leave the pit with 30%. Tip number 14, the race start. Now you want to have that red bar in front of you. I got kind of distracted here, but you need to be close to that red bar and just stay there and avoid this fast and slow driving as much as possible, and have your pit limiter on your steering wheel. So as soon as you get the race start, you hit, like if you're close to the point of having to drive this certain percentage. By the way, this is a really horrible example, but just don't do this, okay? So here we are, and then now is this point of driving the 60 kilometers. You hit the pit limiter and you keep that on your hand until it goes to 0, and then you do the race start. So tip number 15, the race start. So let's talk about the race start here, and you want to make sure you stay on your line. Don't switch lanes immediately, and if you want to switch lines, you really need to be super 100% sure, because most race start chaos just starts from people going from left to right all the time, right? I think that the Super 60s are very mature like this. I got a lot of good race starts here as well. Everybody is this just an online daily from yesterday, and everybody is just really clean over here. And take a approach of, like, give yourself some breathing room, you know, don't get too close up to the cars in front. It's very easy to spin them or to get into some sort of a spinning situation. And that is the next point I want to get into. get those inside lines. So over here as well, we got the guy on the left from us over here, but he cannot overtake us because the outside line is just horrible. Just try to defend these inside lines. Don't give the drivers behind you the illusion that there's something to gain here. You want to like force them to the outside. That way you also don't become a brake marker, especially in the fixed or in the beginner series. So there's a hypercar, like I explained before. Hypers do spin a lot more often. You want to focus on the clean areas on track. If there is a collision in front of you, don't look at it and think, wow, because that will also point your attention to the collision and you'll kind of drive into it. You want to like completely ignore that and look at the open spaces to avoid collisions. By the way, these were tips 16, 17 and 18, and the avoid 3 wide situations as much as possible. It's a lot of fun, but it's also Russian roulette. Again, I want to really point out to take a relaxed approach in driving, so meaning a little bit under your limit, because if you're constantly on the edge, then you're gonna screw up sooner or later. Tip number 20, fighting positions. And really, this is nothing new, but I want to point it out. Pick your fights, because if someone, and especially in this scenario, is somebody coming from the back, really fastly closing the gap on you, let's say mid-race, you know, then they're gonna overtake you. And it's gonna be pretty sure they're gonna push you into a mistake and then they're gonna overtake you. If you defend like crazy, you lose overall race time. So you want to get into, if somebody's really approaching you quickly, you can see it on deltas, you can see the gap is closing really quickly. I think it's more smart to let them pass and chase them down afterwards, if it's not for a position in the last 5 minutes. Also, a great benefit of this, if they're really impatient, they will overtake you, they will disappear into the distance, and they might make collisions to the guys in front. So let them. Let them make collisions in front of you so you can get some freebies. I gained in this race when I'm explaining positions like this. People screw up a lot. So let them do it, but not on your car, the guys in front. They can take out the guys in front. By the way, I'm not approving of this behavior or anything, but it's just a reality, right? But then also, there is something about that as well, I'll say later in the video. Hey, and if you like this content this far, could you please hit that like button? These videos are really complicated to make, to squeeze in everything, so thank you. When the race almost finishes, don't get excited when you're on the podium. Finish your race first. It's only finished if you finish, kinda obvious, but sometimes I get like excited when I get great positions or under pressure. It's only over when it's over. And obviously I'm defending really hard in my last few laps, but then again, if you're on a super 60s and like there's always, you need to be careful with collisions. You don't also want to spin in the last few corners and getting into collisions like that. So it's obviously when you're fighting for a podium, it's easier said than done, but be always careful, you know? Point number 24, tank players in the chat. I think it's important to, like, you cannot compete if there are no competitors, so thank them afterwards. And also apologize when you screwed up. We can all screw up our races. We can all make collateral damage and take out others. Be apologetic from time to time. I think 99% of people are willing to do races cleanly, but most of them are just inexperienced, and it kind of looks like on purpose, but a lot of times it might not be the case. Also, be more forgiving to other players. I mean, it's very easy to get caught up in the moment and get angry and start cursing on the chat. I mean, you're making a fool out of yourself and you run the risk of disqualifying you for bad language and all that stuff, you know? I get it, but don't do it. And the last point I want to make, yes, sometimes there are intentional wreckers, and I suggest to report out of them, because we don't need wreckers in sim racing. So after the most horrible starting procedure, we went from P12 and then fast forward, we went to P6 and yeah, basically staying on track and avoiding mayhem and chaos. What if you do open series, you wanna build your own car setups from scratch, then I highly recommend this video because that will explain my system, how I build car setups. Thanks for watching.